We're concentrating on contrarian picks, GPP plays, identifying the chalk, and great value picks and punts. These are my NFL DFS picks for week 9 of DraftKings. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the quarterbacks. My top 3 ranked quarterbacks, and when we do these videos, I usually don't go over super obvious picks, but sometimes I gotta, tell you who I like the best out of these expensive, obvious choices. So my number 1 quarterback this week on my rankings is Patrick Mahomes, followed by Russell Wilson, then followed by Josh Allen at number 3. I love all 3 of those guys. Patrick Mahomes is very expensive, or not necessarily. Yeah, I guess he's pretty expensive. The most expensive quarterback on the main slate. Russell Wilson, not too expensive, of $7,600, and Josh Allen, super cheap at $7,000. But let's see who's more contrarian. And a lot of times these contrarian picks on this video are going to be sitting right in front of us. Starting off with my number 1 guy is going to be Lamar Jackson once again. I know I got a lot of flack on the last video. And by the way, we did not do, or at least I did not do too well on last week in DFS. Did very well the 2 weeks before last week. So what was that? 6 and 7 I did well. Week 8 I did very bad. And if you didn't have Patrick Mahomes, Dalvin Cook, and DK Metcalf, you did pretty bad yourself as far as GPPs go. It really was those 3 guys or bust if you wanted to take down a GPP. Hopefully this week it won't be like that. It seemed like everybody scored very, very lowly. Nobody put up 80 points except those 3 guys. In general, I'm saying. So Lamar Jackson, going back to this guy again. Public perception, everyone hates this guy right now. He just has a name. He only has name value. So people hate him in DFS. People hate him in redraft. People hate him in Superflex. He is just going to be overlooked, especially when you got Josh Allen, 100 ahead of him, Deshaun Watson, guys like that, and Justin Herbert, $100 cheaper. He's going to be contrarian. Matchup's not great. But I kind of liked what I saw out of Lamar Jackson against the Steelers. I know that's not going to be a popular take, but he did an okay job as far as fantasy points, as far as that type of fantasy production. I'm not going to say he did well for his team to win, or he did well as far as stats when you look at it in real life. But as far as fantasy, he put up 19 fantasy points against the Steelers, and it was really close to putting up a lot more than that. Matter of fact, they were kind of close to coming back and winning this game. So if he can put up 19 points against the Steelers, he put up, 32 points nearly against the Eagles. I think he's got a good shot at being a top 3 quarterback this week. And if you're paying this much for a quarterback, he's really got to be top 2 or 3. Top 4 won't really cut it unless it's a really awkward week where all the top guys, like if Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson suck or something, that's the only way top 4 is going to cut it. So it's pretty risky. Not going to have too many lineups with Lamar Jackson, but I might have 1 or 2. So yeah, I do like him. He is contrarian, but not too bullish on him. The price isn't great. The matchup's not great. And I think we can do a little bit better, whether we pay up for one of those top 3 guys that I talked about, or just go with a cheaper option. And that way might be okay if they finish as a top 4 quarterback because of their price. Really quick, guys, if you're not already subscribed to this YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon. We have the best DFS videos, best waiver wire pickups, and best fantasy football live streams on this channel. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. Matthew Stafford has a chance to play, and if he plays, he's going to be contrarian. This could be that's really it. That's all I wanted to say. He's going to be super, super contrarian. I don't have a lot of faith in him, but the matchup is great. And, not a lot of people will pick him when you see the red, C19 right here. So I just did want to mention that he does have a shot of playing. If he plays, I don't think he's able to practice at all or anything like that. So if he plays, he'll basically be like Saturday, they'll be like, all right, you can play or you can't play. And then he'll just be shot right out the cannon, right into the fire. Who else do I got? Matt Ryan, right here, sitting right in front of us. A popular guy that could be a bit contrarian. Calvin Ridley's probably out. Right now he's questionable. My guess is he's not going to play or he's going to be severely limited. But you got Matt Ryan in a decent matchup. I'm not going to say the Broncos D is terrible or anything like that. They're a little bit better at stopping the run than the pass. And also, Matt Ryan and Julio should be able to get it done, or at the very least, Julio should get a lot of attention. And so the talent is there for this pass offense to do something. And that's why I do like Matt Ryan. It's sort of a contrarian pick. Teddy Bridgewater is going to need to throw more than he's ever thrown in his entire career going up against the Chiefs. This could be a super shootout. Chiefs defense is a little bit banged up. They're missing their top 2 defensive linemen. And, man, you just never know what's going to happen here. Is Teddy Bridgewater going to finally show that he has upside? He's never really had upside, and so that is a knock on him. But I did want to mention him. I am going to be picking Teddy Bridgewater this week, for sure. And let's just go with my super dumb, crazy one that I'm going to be picking for sure. And one awesome thing about picking Tua this week. He's a bit of an unknown. He's going up against the Cardinals D that on paper the matchup seems poorly, but I think it's going to actually be a pretty good matchup. And everything's going to be cheap. So if you pick Tua, let's say even if you pick Gesicki, who I have no trust in, Gesicki, Preston Williams, Devontae Parker, any stack you're going with is going to be extremely cheap. Get some water. So you're going to be able to fit in a lot of stud players, the best running backs, the best defense, so on and so forth, if you do go with Tua. If Tua somehow finishes as a top 4 quarterback, even top 5, you're going to be saving so much salary that you got a chance of taking down this GPP. And I'm going to be picking Tua. He's one of my favorites. One other guy I did want to mention that is the same price is Nick Foles. Not to be trusted or anything, not a ton of upside, but the matchup is so good that this could be Nick Foles' best game of the year. Not saying much, don't have a lot of faith in him. I just wanted to say another pivot off of Tua, same price, another contrarian pick. Tennessee Titans defense, although they have a couple players, some are not playing and they just haven't been able to put it together, not one bit. That defense is completely in shambles. It's a good team, good offense, but their defense has not been good. They allow the 22nd most points to fantasy quarterbacks. By the way, Tua's going up against the Cardinals. They allow the 28th most points to fantasy quarterbacks. I'm really loving this slate, by the way. I have a lot of confidence for GPPs in this slate. I'm going to be playing hard this week, going all in this week. Some obvious picks: Dalvin, Henry. Okay, less obvious. This is the one right here. Very, very less obvious. I know it's sitting right in front of us. He was, I think, the RB1 or something week 1, or he was a baller. And the steam's kind of died down and the hype's kind of died down. And Josh Jacobs has been disappointing. I get a lot of questions in redraft about, like, Josh Jacobs. Should I trade Josh Jacobs for a bag of peanuts, for some candy corn, for some old expired candy? And it's like kind of puzzling, like, dang, man, his value, his perception is really fallen off that much. I mean, the production hasn't been great, but it hasn't been completely terrible. And in this land of scarce RBs, he's still okay. So the matchup is there. The Raiders are going to heavily need to rely on the run game, or at least test it out to see if the Chargers can stop it. That's what they love to do. Then they might take a shot or two at Ruggs down the field. They'll get Waller involved, of course. But it's going to be Josh Jacobs early and often. As long as the Raiders can stay in this game and it won't be a blowout, Josh Jacobs could have a huge game. And actually, yeah, two reasons why I don't like him. One, I already talked about. His perception is low. He's not that sexy player right now. Zero hype for Josh Jacobs. So that's one reason. The other is his price. When you're scrolling through this, it's all about fantasy psychology. What people go for, what don't they go for? That's how you identify chalk and contrarians. For a little bit more, significantly more expensive, for like, 700 more expensive, 1,000 more expensive, you're getting a running back that has much, much better perception, much more value, easier picks. Guys like Henry, Dalvin, James Robinson, Connor, even Chase Edmonds, who's got some hype right now. So all those guys, tons of hype, easy choices, just a little bit more, about 10% more of the price, 15% more of the price. You'll be able to get those guys. And also, Josh Jacobs is 6,300. For cheaper, you got guys like Gibson, who has a lot more hype, and David Johnson, and all these other guys are cheaper and just much more sexier. So I think Josh Jacobs could be looked over and could be a contrarian pick, and the price is still decent. It's a good value pick, and you really can't beat that. Also, the Q, questionable, is going to make him even less owned. So that's going to knock his ownership percentage down by 0.5% just by having that Q right next to his name. And yeah, I do like Antonio Gibson. Not going to be contrarian, but the upside is there. Huge upside with a guy like Gibson going against the Giants. Now, here is the sexy pick. Contrarian, cheap, matchup, everything aligns. Now, Tremaine Pope has got a little bit hype, and people are kind of talking about him. But he's looking like he's not going to play. He's still in concussion protocol. So unless it miraculously he's able to clear concussion protocol and play, Justin Jackson's going to be huge this week. But what's actually been happening ever since Eckler's been hurt, it's actually been kind of a back and forth. They've been playing tennis. They've been going Josh Kelly. He's getting the carries and the fantasy points. Then it goes Justin Jackson, then Josh Kelly. And why not this week to pivot back to certified fantasy couch sleeper Joshua Kelly, only 4,400. Great matchup against the Raiders, who are allowing the 27th most fantasy points to the running back position. Oh boy, this is super cheap, because I think Justin Jackson is the one that people are going to really want to start. He's more expensive, but not too much more expensive. Anyway, I love this pick. Contrarian. Pope is looking like he's out. Super cheap. So what's not to like? If you need to save some on your budget, on your salary cap, he's right there. An unsexy pick would be J.D. McKissick. I didn't even want to talk about him, but he is right there as a pivot. The price is right there. If you're doing multi-entries and you got, you're bullish on Kelly, you might want to go a little bit with McKissick. Okay, and for punts, I did want to briefly talk about these two minimum price players, and those are the Dolphins running backs. Gaskin, out. Matt Breida, out. So Patrick Laird, if you do dare to go with him, you're hoping he gets receptions. He's going to be the pass-catching back, and we play full PPR here. If you go with Howard, who's probably more of the starter, more of the goal line back, you're hoping he gets in the end zone. And so, yeah, these are two punts, and you could go either way, really, with the touchdown-dependent guy or with the reception-dependent guy. Don't know what's going to happen, but, yeah, the top two running backs on the Dolphins are out, and these are the next two guys to step up. Let's go to wide receivers. Tyler Lockett versus DK Metcalf. It's more of a guess, but I'll go, just like Justin Jackson and Joshua Kelly here. We got this right here, folks, is Justin Jackson, and this right here, folks, is Joshua Kelly, I guess. As far as the price and production and perception, I think it's similar to that. And so I'm going to go with Lockett. I think DK Metcalf had the game last week. Lockett had the game the week before. And I'm going to go with Lockett this week. I think Lockett will do better than Metcalf. Guys, it's purely a guess. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It really is a guess. Lockett is 1,000 cheaper. So I'm really just pointing that out in case people were wondering which one I liked more. And that's really all. I'm not saying definitely get this guy or don't. But I am definitely saying there is a Seahawks-Bills game that's probably going to be a shootout. You probably want to target one player from that game. If you're not going with Russell Wilson or Josh Allen stack, you might want to go with the DJ Dallas or a wide receiver for the Bills or Singletary, something. You definitely want to target at least one player from that high scoring game. Bills defense really hasn't put it together this year. They haven't been good. Seahawks pass defense, atrocious, horrible, especially when they're defending the wide receiver position. And and then you got Russell Wilson, who's clearly the MVP this year so far, at least. Identifying chalk, we got Allen Robinson. I think he is just, you're going to see his price be like, this is a decent price. All the other wide receivers, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I get a guy at a good price, a reliable guy with a great matchup. So he's going to be chalk. I'm actually targeting this game because it's going to be so unpredictable and messy that I think people are going to be scared to target this, or at least for Bears players to target this game. And I think I'm going to take my shot at a contrarian player in this Titans Bears game. Maybe a Montgomery, maybe Anthony Miller, or Mooney. We'll see. We're going to talk about that in a bit. Who else do we got? DJ Moore sitting right in front of us. So many people were so mad and disappointed at DJ Moore last week and Teddy Bridgewater. I think, is that disappointment still going on? You tell me. Are you guys still disappointed in that Falcons game, that Thursday night football game a week ago? But I think this is it right here. The price isn't beautiful, but the matchup is great because of the game. Well, more so the game script. Going against the Chiefs, Teddy Bridgewater is going to need to throw the ball quite a bit, and I love DJ Moore. I don't think a lot of people will pick him just because he had that really disappointing week last week. And then any Bills wide receiver should be good. Diggs is expensive, but you could go with Cole Beasley, 5,400. John Brown is 4,600, by the way. That's that Seahawks-Bills game. And nice Tua stack could be Devontae Parker at 5,200. Nice pivot is DJ Chark, 5,200. He's kind of being overlooked with just basically the Jags have no hype right now, and they don't have quarterback. Minshew is out. With DJ Chark going up against the Texans. Anybody, if you can throw the ball, I think you can get it to Chark for at least one big play this game against the Texans secondary. And Preston Williams, one of my favorite guys right here. This is why I like Tua so much. Preston Williams only 4,100 going against the Cardinals. And the running backs are out. And the Cardinals are a good team that go fast pace. So Tua, hey, man, I'm all in on this Tua stack. I know it's crazy, but I absolutely love it. His poor performance this past week against the Rams is going to help Tua. Maybe it helped decrease his price, and it's going to also help with his ownership percentages. He's going to be very lowly owned. People aren't going to be too confident in the Dolphins. But I'm crazy. I'm going for it. Okay, so Darnell Mooney versus Anthony Miller. Darnell Mooney versus Anthony Miller. Now, it's been changing. The tides have been changing. It's shifting more towards Anthony Miller. Nothing against Mooney. He's actually very talented, very good. But for some reason, Foles hasn't really clicked with Mooney as much as he should have. Like, should have been way, like, I don't get it. It just hasn't worked. I've always been high on Anthony Miller. I think Nick Foles is preferring Anthony Miller if he had the choice. Now, we won't really see it in the stats, except last week, Miller ran a lot more routes, got a lot more snaps. And so that's really all I'm going for as far as stats are concerned. So I'm thinking Nick Foles prefers Anthony Miller. He may have even talked to the coach. Now, I'm just going on a limb here. And we're like, all right, we're going to use it. Like, for some reason, it's just better with Anthony Miller. So maybe we run more 3 wide receiver sets. We find more ways to get Anthony Miller on the field and make some plays, because Nick Foles likes to throw to Anthony Miller. That's just the trend that I've seen. Maybe that trend only lasted this past week and it's dead already, and I could be totally wrong. But me, instead of Mooney for 3,900, I'd rather go for Anthony Miller at 4,000. I don't think people are identifying this trend. Like I said, the trend's only been going on a few days, so it could be shut down in its tracks and stopped. But I see this trend to come in, and I think Anthony Miller is going to be better looking forward. 11 targets last game. I don't think he's ever even got half that. Yeah, he's got 6 targets week 1, but since that, he has never got 6 targets. 11 targets last game against the Saints. Now, they did attack the Saints' weakness, but the Titans' weakness is their defense. Period. So they're not good at anything on defense. Yeah, that's just how I feel. And I do have a punt for you guys, actually. If you want the biggest punt stack is going to be Tua and Jakeem Grant. Now, they traded away Isaiah Ford, and I think one reason they were able to do that is because they love this guy here. Now, Jakeem Grant would probably slide into that wide receiver 3 role. Now, it's going to more like be Gesicki would be the wide receiver 3. But I think Jakeem Grant's touches on offense are going to double. Now, his touches were kind of comparable to Isaiah Ford, I guess similar type of players too. And he should absorb a lot of those touches. So someone's going to absorb him, whether it's Parker, whether it's Preston Williams, whether it's Gesicki, and then we got Jakeem Grant. So if you're looking for absolute punt, minimum price wide receiver, it's going to be Jakeem Grant this week. And Dolphins might have to throw the ball in the 4th quarter. So yeah, I did want to point that out. Because it's minimum price, there's 90 wide receivers that are minimum price. So guys like this take a little bit longer to identify, just speaking of the common person just entering these contests. But, it's me. I'm able to identify him from time to time. It's very, very cheap. I do like that, 3,000. Okay. For tight ends, Travis Kelce. What is this? How much more expensive is he? I'm taking out my calculator right now. 58 divided by 72. Yeah, so Darren Waller is 80% of the price of Travis Kelce. So the second most expensive tight end is only 80% of the price of Travis Kelce. And I don't think Kelce is going to bring back value. He is a safe, great, super elite, tier of his own, tier 1 tight end. No doubt about it. But we should be able to find very similar production. And if not, you know what? We're talking about half the price. Because I'm just talking about Darren Waller, who's actually pretty expensive too in comparison. For half the price, we would need about half, right? Just half the production, half the fantasy points. And we can find that because all these tight ends are 4,000, right around half the price of Kelce. We'll be able to find that. And if you're playing GPP, you better take a shot on someone other than Kelce. Don't go with the safe Kelce pick. Okay, so Kelce for me, I'm going to avoid him. I'm fading him in GPPs. I just don't think it's going to be worth it. Yeah, there's just really no reason to do that. And, if he goes off for 30 fantasy points, I'm going to be totally wrong. Because that's going to be hard to duplicate, even if you only need 18 fantasy points to match his value. It's going to be very difficult. But that's what you really need from Kelsey. Excuse me. You're going to need well over 20 fantasy points. That 1 week, last week, no other tight ends did good. Or whenever Kelsey was the GPP winner, that's going to be pretty rare because of his price. So who do I like? I like Mark Andrews, sitting right in front of us. Says he has a bad matchup, but, dude's really matchup proof, to be honest. Like, he's just one of the main guys in that offense. And the price is great. Hopefully he'll bounce back. And I absolutely love Mark Andrews. People are going to be scared to pick him. 4,800 going against the Colts. Right here is kind of where I like to live. Hayden Hurst, if Calvin Ridley is out, he's 4,100. Hunter Henry, it sucks because Justin Herbert is so good. He doesn't check down. He always finds the open wide receiver down the field, whether it be a backup tight end, whether it be the third string wide receiver. He's been killing it and hasn't really needed to use Hunter Henry. But against the Raiders, this has always been their weak point. Hunter Henry, if there's one game you had to pick that Hunter Henry is going to go off, it's this game. So I told you the pros. I told you the cons. Also, another pro, his price, $4,000, about half the price of Travis Kelce. And then we got Jonnu Smith, $3,900. He has been terrible, so everyone's going to be off of him. And you can pick him with that price. We know he's going to get at least 2 targets. So we'll see. The Titans have a lot of weapons. So, yeah, the Jonnu Smith hype train is derailing, but I did want to at least mention him. For cheaper, we can go with Trey Burton, who I think is very, very solidified that he's going to have a huge role in this offense. He's one of their biggest weapons. I think he plays running back for a couple snaps. He plays receiver. He plays tight end. They just give him touches, and the man scores touchdowns. So for $3,500, that's going to be super cheap. Yet again, his price has not gone up. I just wanted to point out 2 other guys that's super cheap. Irv Smith, again, his price is super low. $2,900, doesn't have to do much to get you value. Just has to get about 3 catches, and you'll be fine with Irv Smith at $2,900. That'll be amazing. And a super contrarian punt, stupid pick, by the way. Don't bank on this, but Will Dissly, I like what I've seen out of him. I like him in Dynasty with Greg Olsen likely being too old. But it's very rare for this guy to get targets. I'm confident Russell Wilson is going to do something with someone other than DK Metcalf and Lockett, but I don't know who it's going to be. Could it be David Moore? Could it be Will Dissly? Could it be Greg Olsen? I don't know. Maybe he throws again to DJ Dallas. Not sure, but I did want to mention a super contrarian, super stupid punt play. Will Dissly, $2,700. No one's going to pick that guy. And that's really salary cap relief. It's really a punt. Greg Olsen, by the way, is $3,100. I just want to throw that out there, his teammate. And they're about even, actually, as far as like the work they get. Greg Olsen, Will Dissly, split that tight end receiving work 50-50. That's how I see it. For defenses, I'm going to be fitting the Steelers D in just about all my entries. They got a high floor, they got a high ceiling, high price, but I think we identified enough great value picks to where spending an extra, $1,000 or $1,500 on a defense is going to be nothing. It's going to be worth it. But I did want to give you guys some other options here. My number 2 defense that I would consider would be, what is that, $2,200 cheaper. That's a big difference. So we're going towards kind of minimum price almost, is the Giants D in a low-scoring game against Washington. Washington's going to kind of play it safe and try not to make mistakes. And that's going to be a low-scoring game. But if mistakes are made, it's really because, they have no other choice. This is going to be a low-scoring game. And if Kyle Allen in Washington makes a couple mistakes, Giants would be able to capitalize. Matter of fact, what's kind of weird is the Giants' defense has actually been pretty good. I'm not going to say great, but they've been surprisingly good. And you get to wonder if the Giants offense didn't make a ton of mistakes, took care of the ball well, and was better. Maybe had a good O-line and a quarterback that was less prone to making huge mistakes. Maybe this Giants D could actually be really good. They got at least one good cornerback. They have some good players. Like, front seven's not horrible. Like, maybe they could have been a top 10 defense, but they're not. But yeah, that's my second defense. But keep in mind, Stafford might not play, so the Vikings D could be a punt right there at 2,400. Wouldn't bank on that, but that's super cheap. And the other ones I just wrote down as alternate options in that same game. Washington defense is 3,400. Then we have the Texans with no Minshew. They're playing the Jags, 3,100. Cardinals going against Tua for 2,900. And Falcons, I really wanted to consider them, but I'm probably not with all the injuries they have on defense. Broncos offense is up and down, though. They could make mistakes or they could just not score, but really have zero trust in the Falcons D giving me anything. And I know, look, most of this video was talking about how great Tua is, but there's always a chance, right? There's a chance that Tua is the next star and he does well this game. There's always a chance that, Tua could still be the next star and have a horrible game. There's a percentage chance he does well. There's a percentage chance he does bad. So that's why Cardinals might be a defense to consider. I'm not going to be playing them, but I did write them down in my notes, at least as an option for you guys. Make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Also subscribe to our second YouTube channel. We got merch. We got the Patreon going. Thank you guys so much for 35K. Love you guys. Couch Fam is the best fantasy football community. Smash that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Smash the thumbs down if you did not. And I'll catch you on the next one.